Chapter 40, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw will hold a public hearing in person in the basement of the town hall and via Zoom on Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. Public hearings begin at 4 p.m. Business meeting will follow. In attendance, we have Michael Fisher, John Portnoy, Barbara Brennisell, and Leon Streves. We have a quorum. First hearing is David L. Gusak, 80 Georges Way, map 16, parcel 610, SE 077-1677, and after the fact notice of intent for mitigation plannings after a violation. Is there anyone to speak to that?
Yep. Good afternoon.
There.
So, for the record, I'm Laura Schofield and I'm here with David Gusak, the applicant and property owner. And I think the commissioners are familiar with this project. Since the last time we were before the commission, we also had a site visit with Leisha and Jen, just to kind of review the mitigation requirements that the commission was looking for. So we have incorporated the feedback from the commission at our last meeting and also the comments that we received from Jen and Leisha at our site visit. And those are reflected on this plan in the following ways. The dog fence is to be elevated to provide minimum 6-inch clearing underneath the fence. And we've also called for some additional pepper bush plants to be planted within the Cape Cod lawn so that we are fattening up the native vegetation in between the yard area and the pond. And so in doing that, so far what we've offered in mitigation is that the trees that were removed will be replaced on a 1-to-1 basis. The trees will be mitigated with the proposed shrubs on a 6-to-1 basis. And also, if you evaluate the square footage of the shrubs that are being proposed, that square footage is greater than the pathway that the machinery had made. And even though there's vegetation emerging in that pathway, so the pathway has not been totally denuded or anything like that, the shrubbery square footage will provide for more than what the square footage of the pathway is. And that's it. We're happy to answer any questions or comments that the commission has.
Michael?
Yes, thank you for making all the adjustments. I think this is much better than it has been. There's a special note that until the Park Service is approving, you can't revegetate. How far along is that process?
Well, we talked about that at the site visit, and what Leisha and I discussed was that if the commission sees fit to approve the plan, then I'll take the order of conditions and the plan to the commission, or I'm sorry, to the seashore, and collect any comments from them. If there are any and we need to, we can come back for an amended order, but we can at least do the planting on our own property in the meantime, and then we can just kind of take it.
National Park Service wanted our approval before they would.
Right. No, I understand.
Yeah.
So it's a question of we don't release it certainly until you hear from them.
Well, we'll be able to issue the order of conditions with the special condition that no work can begin on the National Park Service land until we get that documentation.
Okay. I just clarification of that.
Yeah.
Any other concerns or questions?
I would move that we approve the mitigation plan for 80 Georges Way, that's 60 parcel 610.
Second, Michael. Yes.
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 And yes. Welcome on. Let's see. We got a problem, so unless you had some more.
You already voted.
It's too late now.
Too late.
It's okay, I'll be suffering in the parking lot.
Yeah, we are. That's where we are. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is maybe one line. You should. sign
No,
this.
no, Bob can't sign.
Okay, the next one is Park Santos, 70 Pond Avenue, map 35, parcel 162, SE 077-1678. Notice of intent to install a sewage disposal system replacing a cesspool.
Hi, I'm Clark Santos. This is a continuation from a meeting in May, I believe it was, when we had our first discussion on
June, July.
It was, well, we did not meet in July. It was from June,
From
and then we continued from July into today.
Right?
Introducing my brother Ted Castro Santos, who is a co-owner of the property, who's been in contact with Leisha and with Barbara as we've been trying to move through this. At our initial meeting, I think there was general concurrence in terms of the septic system itself and the concern pertaining to exactly what our plans were for mitigation for any trees that needed to be removed at that time.
Mhm.
So we've now submitted a plan for how we will revegetate, and I'll turn it over to Ted, who will walk us through some of the.
Okay.
Thanks, and hopefully the plan's pretty straightforward, and just try to make this as simple as possible. Talk to Alicia
Yes, thanks.
about the content, but there's I drew over the plots just based on what they've staked out, what the limit of work is likely to be. I guess they have made their own drawings on that, but I think it's less than that what they've drawn. But anyway, it's about what they're going to be doing. They'll be accessing from Spruce Wigwam right there. There's a place there, and any trees that need to be removed might be that. It's actually quite hard to tell. In the note, in the email that I sent, or the letter, I guess, I indicated that there may be about 3 trees over 5 inches. That was a misstatement. I think the 3 trees are under 5 inches DBH that are likely to be removed, and it might not even be necessary to do that. There's some that are maybe technically part of the road. Those things also get cleared, by the way, from time to time by the road crew. Whatever. But it'll be in there. I think that they might have to take out a sapling or 2 and then work their way in. Otherwise, we've got blueberry bushes that we'd already planted on, high bush blueberry native that we planted on the property 50 years ago or something, not that long, but 40 years ago. They're still there. Those will likely be disturbed. So what we're hoping they'll do is protect those because we like them. And we'll put those right back where those are. Is not a leaf blower setting. They should be able to go right back where they were. And then other than that, any other vegetation will be, I guess the leach field has to be kept bare. So we can't have trees and saplings growing on that. So we'll plant that with bearberry, seaside goldenrod. I've been looking into, I wrote about milkweed. There is a milkweed species that I believe is native to the Cape. It's not common, but it's very nice pollinator species. We'll talk to you more if we decide to try to add that in there. We'll just get everything cleared for you guys. But I'm kind of interested in making habitat out of this. And also, we like beach plums. We like blueberries. So we will plant those as needed. If you've done a site visit, you'll notice that what was once upon a time yard, we've been allowing to rewild anyway. So unfortunately, any trees that come down are probably going to have to come down because we've allowed that to happen. But whatever. We're happy to continue rewilding. We'll have to protect the leach field, especially, and I guess maybe settlement fence. They'll probably want trees growing on top of that. So we have, ground cover. And beyond that, whatever you all have to say, I'm happy to work with you. And the idea is our goal here is to rewild. And if you've been there, you've noticed the battle we've been fighting against some of the invasives, and that continues. We're not defeated yet.
No. Not told yet.
Right.
Okay, are there any concerns or questions?
No, it's a pretty vegetated area anyway. So.
Right. Right. So due to the variability that all the variables, you need to go through the agent We get to final
Yeah.
approval.
We just don't know what they're, you know,
Yeah.
they don't know what size excavator they're gonna get in, if hopefully it's like the 4 foot
Yeah.
wide ones, you know, they can just get
We'll
in
just
there.
determine it once, once it's all installed, I'll be able to go out there and, or even some pictures might do, there will be a condition that the final mitigation plantings are gonna have to be approved by me. But you guys already know that, and we understand that you don't have all of the numbers until you do the work. So, that's fine.
Great.
And you also understand that if you're doing any work on the house or anything like that, you have to come.
There is no work to be done in the house.
Okay, what do you mean, like changing it? I don't know, if you were there.
Yeah, no, it's a 2 bedroom house and the footprint is such that it'll always be,
Yeah, I was thinking outside work or something like that. I didn't know. You look at it.
yeah, none of that is part of this plan, but.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah, are you suggesting if we want to, paint the trim?
No, but if you are doing anything that would affect the grounds around.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, we've,
Yeah, yes, not at this point.
no, not at this point, and likely, yeah,
Maybe
not
not.
while we're on the episode.
Well, it sounds like we've been coordinating for pretty well with this.
Happy good.
I will move that we approve the NOI to install a sewage disposal system at 70 Pond Avenue.
Second, Michael.
Yes.
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 And yes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. So is there a document that now will be sent to our engineer?
It'll be sent to your engineer and then they'll record it at the registry.
Yeah, I'm working with them to get the
Okay.
Board of Health stuff done anyway, so I
Okay.
just want to make sure we understood next steps.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem. And feel free to email us if you have any questions.
Yep, great, thanks.
Have a good one. Good luck out there in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Getting out, so.
Well, I did hear a talk that if you're parked in the EV section and get a ticket, you can come back and ask for.
Oh.
There's plenty of parking in the town yard.
If you want to walk.
Okay, the next one is John Hall,
Oh, sorry.
195 Kendrick, map 20, parcel 23, SE 077-167. That's a notice of intent for fiber roll array installation project. That was continued from July 16th, and they requested a further continuance until September 17th. So I move that we do that.
Second, Michael. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. The next one is Kathleen Jackman, 120 Kendrick Avenue, map 20, parcel 13. A request for determination of applicability for replacing existing covered porch in kind on existing footprint. This was continued from August 6th, 2025. There's somebody here to represent that? There's a problem. I'm gonna, let's delay that until the end.
In case they're.
In case they're trying to circling at it, it might be a long hike, so we'll head off on that one. We move ahead. The next one is Lisa R. Lowe, Candleman. Trustee, 60 Hiawatha Road, map 28, parcel 177, SE 077-1680. Notice of intent to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family home and septic system, and that was continued from August 6th, 2025. Is somebody to represent that?
Yes, they're online.
Oh, all right. Who are we talking to?
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
How's everyone doing? My name is Chris Sanderson. I'm with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, and I am representing the applicant tonight. I'm also on here. I believe he is possibly trying to get in on the Zoom as well. Cameron Larson from Environmental Consulting and Restoration.
Okay, before you start, sir.
Yep.
A point of personal privilege. On your map, in the Sewell's gutter, you have
Yep.
down the Conservation Commission owns it. And that's incorrect. It's the Conservation Trust. which is
Okay, we can get that revised.
That's fine. I'm part of the Conservation Trust as trustee, so I have to recuse for this here.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for clarification.
Luckily, we still have a forum. We got recused on. Okay,
If I may share my screen, I can give you guys our presentation.
yeah, please.
Can you guys see this?
Can you zoom in a little bit on your
Yep,
screen?
no problem.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. My old eyes.
All right, so this is our existing conditions survey plan of 60 Hiawatha Road. It's a 0.36 acre residential lot consisting of an existing single family dwelling that was constructed around 1960. The property abuts Hiawatha Road to the south, which is a 30-foot wide private way, which is a gravel road. Up to the north is Tecumseh Road, I believe it's pronounced, which is actually just a right-of-way, not constructed. And there are some residential properties beyond that to the north, as well as to the west and east. As mentioned, Sewell's Gutter Conservation Area, owned by the Wellfleet Conservation Trust, is located to the south of Hiawatha Road. And the resource areas that are present on site concerning the project are a salt marsh down in Sewell's Gutter Conservation Area, delineated with these flags here. There is a top of coastal bank right directly adjacent to the traveled way of Hiawatha Road. And portion of the property is also located in lands subject to coastal storm flowage. So these orange lines here depict our FEMA zones. The velocity zone at elevation 15 is towards the salt marsh, and the AE zone is situated between these two orange lines with the zone X above it where the existing dwelling is. So I'm going to move over to our proposed plan. Did that switch for you guys?
Yep, that's good.
Great, thank you. So this project is a raise and rebuild project of the single family dwelling. A new single family dwelling is proposed generally in the same location as the existing dwelling. The existing dwelling outline is about right here on the property. As you can see, the proposed dwelling approximate dimensions are about 52 feet wide by 24 feet deep. It's going to be a 2-story dwelling with some associated deck, stairs, a rinse station on this side, some utilities in the back, AC units. There's also a proposed paver walkway that's going to connect to a new proposed gravel driveway accessing off Hiawatha. Currently, there is a small gravel parking area directly adjacent to Hiawatha Road. So we thought it'd be a benefit to relocate that so the cars could park closer to the new house and further away from the resource areas. So that, as you can see, the dwelling located fully outside that AE zone, as well as fully outside the 50-foot buffer zone. Really tried to push it as far back in the lot away from the resource areas as possible. Another, I think very beneficial component of this project is the existing dwelling is currently serviced by 2 cesspools in this general vicinity. So as part of this project, we are proposing to upgrade that to a new fully Title V compliant system, which will also be incorporating a denitrification and aeration system. So shown here kind of in this green hatched area, there'll be a 1,500 gallon septic tank, the nitro denitrification system, which will then go into a pump chamber and pump that out into the leaching area up here. So again, another consideration of siting that septic system was to push it as far away from the resource area as possible, while also being mindful of abutting well setbacks That leaching field needs to be at least 100 feet away from the subject well, as well as surrounding wells, which are depicted by these red circles here. And then we're also up against some Title V setbacks to the house and property lines and things of that nature. But I think, a substantial benefit to the property overall to get those cesspools out of there and upgrade the septic system. Another kind of beneficial measure we are incorporating into this project is the roof drains for the new structure will all be tied into subsurface dry wells. So that essentially means all the roof runoff from the new structure will be collected by a series of gutters in HDP pipes and put into the ground into chambers with stone. So all that water gets infiltrated directly into the ground rather than just flow overland down gradient towards the resource area. There is a small proposed utility shed located on the easterly side of the property here, north of the driveway. Our limit of work is depicted by an erosion control barrier that wraps up the driveway here in front of the dwelling to the back of the lot, and then same over on this side. So on this plan, you'll notice some various hatched areas, the green hatched areas as well as the yellow, and I am going to refer up to the buffer zone disturbance table we've put on the plan. So we did some calculations as far as existing site disturbance goes compared to the proposed site disturbance. So from the 0 to 50 foot buffer, it might I add the buffer zones we show are from the top of Coastal Bank, which is the more restrictive of the resource areas. So the more restrictive buffers are shown in this scenario. So between the 0 and 50 foot buffer, we are looking at an existing site disturbance of 1,170 square feet, where under proposed conditions, we were able to reduce that down to 630 square feet. From the 50 to 100 foot buffer, under existing conditions, it was 2,751 square feet. And under proposed conditions, we're looking at 4,934 square feet. I do just want to point out a lot of that jump can be attributed to the additional horizontal area we need to fit, the new Title V compliant septic with the denitrification system. So these hatched areas here, and I'm going to let Cam Larson take over in a minute to kind of elaborate and actually go over our mitigation and restoration planting plan. The green areas depict total area of proposed restoration plantings within the limit of work. So within that limit of work we're doing, all the green areas you see are proposed for restoration plantings. That totals to an amount of 2,205 square feet. Beyond that, we are also proposing another enhancement, an understory enhancement. Since the site is primarily wooded, we saw this as a good opportunity to provide some additional low-lying understory enhancement plantings, and we are proposing that to the tune of 5,150 square feet. At this time, I'll stop sharing, and Cam, if you wouldn't mind giving a rundown on your plan, that'd be great.
Chris, could I just ask a question first?
Yeah, of course.
If you're parked in the parking lot, how do you get into the house? Right above, if you could put that last.
Yep, no problem.
I just wanted to understand what's going on around the white area where you're putting in the.
Yep, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So this is a proposed very small paver walkway just to get to the front of the house from the gravel driveway, and outside of the 50-foot buffer.
And what's happening in the area around that square around the tanks next to the house? You're taking out some things. Is that going to be, what is that going to be when it's said and done?
So
wait. Cameron to do his,
Okay,
and then we can.
And briefly, just a quick answer from my, engineering side of things. We really don't want to plant too close to the septic components because the roots can spread out over time and potentially cause some conflict and damage to those. So I believe the intent is to kind of just leave this in a natural state. It's not proposed to be lawn area, fertilized. We're actually proposing no lawn area as part of this project. A big goal of the applicant was to have the site remain in as much of its natural state as it exists today as possible. But they are looking to upgrade, the house in itself and the septic. So
okay, that's good. Thank you.
thanks. I'll let Cam take over.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, Commission. This is Cameron Larson with Environmental Consulting and Restoration. So we not only completed the wetland delineation at the site, but we also evaluated the property and put together this proposed mitigation planting plan. So as Chris kind of alluded to, the applicant and property owner has been very understanding of the sensitivity of the wetland resources we're dealing with here on the property. They've been very willing to essentially, preserve the natural essence of the property, which is, given us a chance to kind of cram in as much as we possibly can out here in terms of native plantings and keeping things, as natural as possible. You'll notice the essentially envelope around the house. It's been minimized as much as possible, basically to provide access around the home. But aside from that, all that green planting area is going to be native plants to restore the work area once the house is completed. So what's shown in green is all the restoration work. That comes out to a little over 2,200 square feet of planting. The design incorporates guidance by DEP, which includes spacing of plants 8 to 10 feet on center. So we'll utilize a total of 40 shrubs throughout that entire area, all native, all very common in the area. Things like beach plum, blueberry, bayberry, witch hazel, and then a mix of herbaceous perennials and herbaceous woody vegetation to create a dense understory in those areas. Furthermore, the site provided some additional opportunity for enhancement. That's what's shown in that orangish yellow shade. I'm just going to scroll over here to a photo that we included on this plan. This here is a view to along the western side of the property. You can see that the property, if you've been out there at all, it's littered with a lot of large pitch pine. The understory is fairly barren though. So the opportunity we saw here was to be able to propose a mix of some additional native shrubs throughout the wooded area and throughout the outside of the actual work zone. So we're going to beef up areas to the west, along the east, and then out in front of the home as well. Included in this mitigation is also some pruning of these large pines here. It's structural pruning only. When we say structural pruning, we're referring to removing anything that's dead, damaged, or diseased, the 3 Ds. We didn't see any disease issues out on this site, but there's certainly a lot of dead and damaged limbs in these pines. So we're proposing to get in there and thin out the dead wood, open things up, open the canopy up a little bit, improve airflow and all that sort. So the site provided some great opportunity here. The applicants were very willing to include this extra work in the proposal. And we think we have a really solid plan here that's going to be suitable for the site and will provide an overall betterment to the area. Happy to address any questions the commission may have regarding this mitigation plan. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I have a comment. I think your mitigation planting plan is excellent. It's going to be an improvement of great improvement over what is there now. So I don't really have any questions about it. It looks like you're including a lot of good shrubby species in place of right now is basically pitch pine and then almost bare ground beneath it. I do have a question going back to the engineer on the gravel driveway. What is the material of the gravel driveway to be?
I believe, just kind of a hard packed crushed stone surface, something that won't, when stormwater hits it, it won't run down. Something that kind of solidifies, but still is a bit of a pervious surface. If you guys have a preference, I'm not too familiar with Wellfleet. I'm sure the applicant would be happy to incorporate what your preference would be.
Well, it's probably, I mean, most of Wellfleet is Carver sand, so percolation is pretty rapid, but there's not normally a lot of sheet flow. But if you could, basically, our objective is not to allow sheet flow down the driveway.
Yeah.
So, you're the engineer, you tell us how you're going to deal with that. And maybe you could suggest to us today what the gravel size would be. And
yeah, I think some bigger sized crushed stone that has voids. And, we could dig it out below to get down, to a good sandy layer below. So once it makes it through those voids and the 3/4 inch crushed stone, it'll infiltrate right into the ground.
And this will be the same material all the way down to Hiawatha Road? Oh, will you
Correct.
you're not planning on a skirt at the bottom?
Nope. So Hiawatha is gravel, I believe. So there'll be no pavement or anything like that. No impervious surface.
Okay.
Barbara?
Related, sometimes people put that crushed asphalt underneath. So I'm assuming that's not gonna happen.
No, nope.
Okay, a couple of questions. Are the shed and driveway and walkway included in the buffer zone disturbance calculations?
Yes, they absolutely are. Yep.
So if we add up the proposed disturbance within the 100, it's over 5,000, which exceeds our threshold. So if you.
Yeah,
add
so this total
100,
disturbance does not account for what's being restored. So, basically the area within the limit of work that is needed for the limit of work is incorporated in this. So you would be looking at these numbers, subtracting the restoration, which I believe leaves us just over the 3,000. And we really did our best to get as much as we possibly could. And, that's where we came up with the idea to incorporate the additional understory mitigation, which was an additional 5,000 square feet. So I think if you look at the total disturbance, minus the restored areas, that would be the number I think you'd be looking at.
related to that, is there a natural heritage? This is terrapin habitat. And you show that picture of that void, and that's probably a terrapin nesting area. It's a south facing slope. So by vegetating it, you might be taking away an area that's used by terrapins for nesting. So I'm wondering if natural heritage is related.
I don't remember. Do you remember off the top? I think the line ends at the road for NHGSP.
Yeah, the property, our property itself is not within an estimated or priority habitat.
You have observations?
Yeah, I mean, terrapins
She has-
goes around there.
Yeah,
But if it's not,
it's just not regulatory habitat.
so I'm wondering if you could actually leave some disturbed area for terrapin nesting as part of this.
You mean unmitigated?
Yeah,
Sand.
leave some sand.
Just leave some sand for them to crawl off to.
I mean, I think that you are right. I actually missed that and I read it as the 0 to 100, that they are over the total disturbance is over our 5,000 feet regulation. When you add all those up, it's like they would have to get rid of 400 or 500 square feet.
Right.
And I did miss that. I misread the buffer zone disturbance and I thought it was 0 to 50 and then 0 to 100. So that is something, thanks, Barbara, that you need to consider, that does not meet our regs.
Even with the mitigation.
Yeah.
because you're mitigating for a lot of the other area that's being used.
And I do have another question. Exactly what Leon was saying, all of the white space that's within the limit of work that you might want to leave to naturalize, that's no longer going to be nice pine duff anymore. That's just going to be sand. So I do think we need to address that a little bit. I know you don't want to put things over the septic, but similar to the previous hearings where they put things like bearberry or, non-woody species, it's something that needs to be considered. Because I know the property owner very much likes it naturalized there, but that pine duff is going to be totally gone. It's just
Yeah.
going to be, so I do think we need to consider that as well.
I think we do have some additional room to the north of that walkway. That's actually where the existing cesspool is. Typically a cesspool is pumped, crushed and filled with sand. But it's possible that we could, pull that out of there and then, vegetate as close as we would be comfortable to the septic structures. I think that provides some good opportunity right there.
Yeah, a great deal of the overage on
The overage is a big issue.
and a lot of that is from the driveway, right?
Some of it's.
Some of it's, yeah.
Some of it's from the expanded house footprint.
I mean, you folks might be able to determine whether or not, because there was actually no driveway on here before. It was actually, the driveway was in the roadway, to take that into account. But, it's also well within your rights to request them to reduce structure. They're making somewhat of an improvement by reducing structure in the 0 to 50.
Right, and they're making a big improvement by giving me that cesspool, and replacing it with a.
Yeah,
And we-
as I've mentioned before, unfortunately, a cesspool doesn't take up much horizontal area at all. But to get that new Title V compliant system, with the denitrification, that footprint is 10 times as big, and it has to be that way. So I think that can really be attributed to that additional area.
And we
But
can even
we'd
make,
be happy to try to incorporate some more restoration area to get that number down where we can.
in order to get that number down, you would have to get rid of structure or disturbed area like the patio area, the dwelling or the shed. But if the commission wants them to do that, we can go ahead and request that. I can also add a condition that can be left in perpetuity, that this property can have no increase in disturbed area for the rest of its life.
I would rather we adhere to our
That's fine.
regulations
Yeah.
and not make exceptions. That's my personal.
So how far, what's the budget that they're, how far over the budget are they?
About 600 square feet.
And if I may just add, I was working with Tim Santos from Chris's office here on this from the beginning. And, Tim and the applicant were well aware of this situation, that it was a tight site and that was going to be a difficult hurdle to overcome, that square footage of disturbance. So again, this is where we really, want to emphasize this whole enhancement area. So, we're not that's 5,150 square feet of enhancement. That's not being accounted for in terms of that calculation. So, we tried to go over and above with some additional improvements to the site in that way. So we were hoping that the commission would consider that while considering this overage of the disturbed area.
I think
And one more point that I would like to add as I'm just looking at these numbers. So if you total up the existing disturbances in the 0 to 50 and 50, 100, we're actually around 3,900 square feet. So that far exceeds under existing conditions. But if you total the proposed minus the restoration, we're actually lessening that number.
Our regs don't take that into account. The regs just say the total amount of disturbed area cannot be above 5,000 square feet. It doesn't take mitigation or restoration into account at all. That's just a hard number.
So to go back to this big white area to the, what is it, to the east of the structure,
Yeah.
what do you have planned for that? You're not gonna just leave it on sand after it was disturbed, right?
You know, I think the goal was to not plant anything too close to the septic structures. And just kind of leave it, you know, in its natural state at grade. But I think, you know, just looking at it here, I think we do have the opportunity to kind of maybe beef up some of that restoration area to the north of the walkway where the existing cesspool is. But again, we can't really plant anything besides grass over the septic itself.
Something is gonna end up there whether you plant it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it can be, it doesn't, you're not restricted to grass. I think you certainly restricted to herbaceous species. You can't have woody stuff growing there, right?
Yeah, no.
Or maybe bearberry, which is.
Bearberry would do great there.
It seems like you've got, and that area could include a lot of native species without putting in, you know, woody stuff that would have damaging roots.
Yeah, we should definitely look at that.
I'm just worried that this section is either gonna, it'll be a long time before it naturalizes to what it previously was.
Yep.
And it's an opportunity for invasives and honestly erosion down that driveway. Driveway has a slope and that's just gonna be sand. It needs something there.
My recommendation for that area would be to use just a simple conservation seed mix, you know, with, you know, high content of fescues in it. I mean, it wouldn't be something that's, you know, it'd end up kind of like a Cape Cod lawn kind of area that dries out in summer. I mean, something to stabilize the soils, absolutely. You know, you could do a pine straw, you know, that is available. We could ring pine straw in to stabilize it, but I think just a typical conservation seed mix would stabilize that area and just kind of let it be. I don't think it's going to be regularly mowed too often and will naturalize, you know, over time.
Currently, is that the white area where the tanks are, is that part of your disturbed area calculation?
It is, yes.
Okay.
And then around the leaching field, you know, there has to be a little bit of an over dig. You know, we would have loved to hug that tighter to the leaching field, but.
Chris, if you have the calculations handy about it breaking down your disturbed area, showing, you know, dwellings or, you know, proper structures like the dwelling and the shed and then the driveway and the patio. Do you have that broken down?
I'm sure we do in our drawing somewhere. Unfortunately, I just have a hard copy of the plan.
Help your issue with being over the 5,000 square feet, you know, you are including the area of the septic, but if a portion of that is your total disturbance the entire kind of like white area on here?
I believe it's everything within the limit of work, which is depicted by the silt sock.
So I mean, if you revegetate and put it on the plan, the areas above the septic tanks and even above the leach field, assuming that it's herbaceous, you know, you'll probably be able to get to that total 5,000 square feet, especially because I really don't think you can just leave that totally vacant of no plants.
Yeah, you know, I think we are pretty close. There is likely some adjustments that can be made on our end. You know, on that number to get to that number. So
Mention is comfortable with that. I don't know. That's just.
Yeah, I mean, when we consider that we're getting rid of a cesspool, we're putting in a modern Title V with nitrogen reduction, we're taking away the street gravel parking and planting that. A big part of it is the driveway and the area where the enhanced septic system is going. as far as the house goes, it's not expanding that much, is it? I mean, the footprint of the house.
It is, but could you I mean, I'm assuming this is gonna be continued, and I think it would be super helpful to have all the numbers broken down of the disturbed area. How
Yep.
much is dwelling, how much is patio and driveway?
Before and after.
Yeah, before and after, the existing and the current, and if we can compare those numbers, it might help us quantify exactly what's going on. Obviously, the septic system is gonna be initial disturbed area, but it won't be disturbed area forever if they,
Replanted.
But I don't know what that looks like now. It might be disturbed now.
yeah, it's not. It's totally naturalized over there.
Well, there's one thing about that site that, it's not natural, is to have just pines and a little bit of grass and pine duff underneath. There's no understory. That's why I think that this planting plan is really good, because it establishes wildlife habitat that we do not have now. And it recreates what was probably there in a native condition. So I think we should give that some weight.
How about if we continue this, but have you come back, see where the numbers fall out? And then we can discuss about the particulars of where we might want to move some numbers around.
Yeah, we'd be fine with that. And I do see, some potential available areas where we can gain a little more, restoration. So Cam and I would be happy to look at that, and yeah, happy to do a continuance.
Did we have anybody here for public comment?
Okay.
Oh, we're abutters. We are at 40 and 40A Hiawatha. One of our questions.
Can you
is to
state your name for the
Oh,
record?
sure.
Yeah,
Marianne Thompson, Jamin Way.
thank you.
Have a question on the new parking area. Because it would be going uphill. What is the dig out for that, and how are they going to structure the area around that 4 spaces so that runoff doesn't occur? We haven't seen that in the diagram. It is uphill.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we can definitely get you some more information on that. I think, the intent was to keep the grade substantially what it is. It will remain uphill. Make it a rather larger crushed stone surface that has voids in it, so that water can, infiltrate through that surface. By no means do we want to pave that portion so the runoff sheet flows down the driveway. But we can provide a little more detail to that on the plan and bring that back to the continued hearing to better answer that question.
Okay, Damon Way, hi. A couple other questions. There are some trees on the part of the property that either overhang or potentially could fall on our property. And we have a structure 40A, as has been mentioned, that I believe could be struck by at least 2 of those trees. And then a third tree which would fall potentially on where we park for 40A. So has that been accounted for, and has that information been passed on? Because we've been trading a couple of emails with the property owner.
Just so I'm clear, your property is to the east? Yes.
It is to the east, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I
I think
think
we're out there not long.
I was gonna say, I think a couple of you folks,
Right.
it's kind of a continuation of what we're doing. I mean,
Right. So you're concerned about the other person's trees as you were
Well, yeah.
concerned
Yeah.
around.
if you remember the rail
Yeah.
fence that is aging there, the trees that I'm alluding to are on the 60 Hiawatha side of that fence,
Mhm.
which I really didn't think about at the time. I mean, I don't think I could even.
And to be clear, this is a civil issue. The CONSCOM can't make any comment about this. If you,
Okay.
if the representative can, if they want to, but that's fully a civil issue and we have no control over it.
Okay, fair.
We understand that.
But the representative can certainly speak to it.
But as
Yeah.
far as the drainage and erosion control on the gravel driveway, it's a good request.
Yes, yes.
So that will be addressed, I hope.
So to be completely transparent on this issue, I'm actually covering this hearing for the project manager, so I haven't been involved in past correspondence. So I have no knowledge of this. I can pass the message along to our clients to initiate some correspondence with you on that. Happy to do that. They may be on the call. I don't know if you see a hand raised on the Zoom, but they would be able to better speak to that than I would, unfortunately.
And just so you know, we are in a minimal correspondence with them. They are longtime neighbors, very longtime neighbors, dating back to my parents. And we are willing to work together. And knowing the Conservation Commission's mission, we're also attuned to that as well.
Right, so if the two property owners come to an agreement on those trees, and if they're going to be removed as part of this work, that needs to be incorporated in the plan too.
Of course.
Any mitigation. But there
Hi,
again,
this is a member of the applicant's family. We appreciate the Thomas's comments. We have indeed been in touch by email. I'm speaking to you from the parking lot of the Pentagon where I work. So we actually haven't had a chance to really study the 3 trees that the Thomas family has identified, but we're very sensitive to, we certainly don't want potential dangers on our property to be affecting theirs. And while I've interrupted, let me just offer thanks to the commission for taking up our application. I'm also in the government and I run a regulatory process, but I get paid for it and you don't, except for the agent. So I'm from one bureaucrat to part-time bureaucrats. Let me express appreciation, and we will follow up with the Thomases.
okay.
Thank you.
So there again, if you do come to an agreement, Chris.
Yeah.
Needs to be incorporated in the plan and any diagrams to go.
Of course.
To be documented. Okay. So when would you like to come back to us?
Our next meeting is September 17th.
Yeah, we can absolutely make that work.
Okay.
And Chris, I'll be sending in a recap email tomorrow. Should I do it to you and Tim?
Yeah, if you could include both of us. He'll be back from vacation next week, so I'll loop him into all this we're talking about. And appreciate everyone's time and comments.
Okay, great. I move that we continue this until September 17th.
Second?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And yes. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, next on the list is Joseph Frederick Lugo, the 5th, I guess, 5 Indian Neck Road, map 28, parcel 230, notes of intent to upgrade the existing septic system. There we go.
And I have to recuse again. This one.
Okay. Where are we on this? This is Indian.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape Analysis Engineering. I'm an engineer at Cape Analysis, representing the applicant. The applicant, you probably saw him. He's just walking around with his girl. So this project is strictly a septic upgrade. There is no increase in bedrooms, so there is no increase in septic load. The resources on within 100 feet of this property is there's a wetland to the south of the property, and that is the property that is Conservation Trust. Also, this wetland is within both priority and estimated habitat. Adjacent to this wetland, now onto the property, there is a little slope on the natural grades that define coastal bank. So we have those three resources in question within 100 feet of this project. The failed septic system consists of 3 cesspools. There are 2 cesspools to the west of the southern dwelling, and there is 1 cesspool to the east of that dwelling. Those cesspools are very close to groundwater, and all of them are within 25 feet of the wetland and within 25 feet of the coastal bank. One of them is actually on the sloping land, so it's technically on the coastal bank, but the intention is to abandon those 3 cesspools in accordance with Title V, and in its place, upgrade the system to an enhanced nitrogen reducing septic system. This is one of those best available technologies that DEP has listed out. We're proposing the Nitro system. It consists of the typical Title V tank, followed by the Nitro tank. And then after that, just to gain separation to groundwater, we have a pump chamber. So the area between the 2 houses is where these tanks are going to be positioned. The pump chamber will discharge to a higher elevation to have the leaching field at the furthest location we can from the resources within the property. We still have 5.5 foot separation to the property line. So we did obtain variances from the Board of Health for several setback requirements. And that location that is proposed is partially underneath the existing driveway. Within that, an area that is maintained as grass, and it provides approximately 82-foot setback to the wetland and approximately 55 feet to the top of the bank. Now, last week we presented this project to the Board of Health. The Board of Health did approve the project with the several variances that were asked for. And then I know the neighbors in attendance, and I'm sure they want to speak to the project. But something that I reached out to both separately, I reached out to both the health agent and the conservation agent, was for a couple of options. And because I think these options will come into play when the abutter speaks up, I would like to introduce this. This has only been seen by the agent. None of this was part of the original filing, but this is 2 options that were reviewed by both the health agent and the conservation agent back in late June. So these are just 2 options that we were looking at. And I will say that my preference would have been the option that is furthest from the wells, that it wouldn't meet the 100-foot setback. But the feedback that I received from both agents was that to find a happy medium, asking a waiver from the wells, but also allowing a greater setback to the coastal bank and to the wetland. So that's where we at. We had asking for a waiver, and the Board of Health already approved it. They approved the waiver of 16 feet to the wells, the avoided well, and a greater setback waiver to our own well of 30 feet, but then a lesser setback waivers to the wetlands. So on the wetlands, the Board of Health requires 150. For the coastal bank, we're only providing 55. So that is almost 95-foot waiver that they allowed us. And for the wetland itself, from 150 to 82, that was a waiver of 68 feet that they allowed us. So that's the project that we have. We did place the system as far as we can from the wetlands. It is no increase in flow. It is a much better system than anything on the property right now. And if there's any questions, and I know there's the butter is here, so I know that there's comments from the public.
I'm gonna make one comment real quick about this plan. And did the butter want to see this? Did you see this?
Raul actually shared that with us after the health department meeting last week. Thank you.
So I do want to say that option 2 does not meet the DEP regulations for the general provisions. it clearly states that you have to, in order to meet 10.3, the soil absorption system must be set back at least 50 feet from the boundary of any resource area. So the other option does not meet Wetland Protection Act regulations. It doesn't meet the performance standards. So that's why the other one was chosen. Yeah. But feel free.
So is it to the coastal bank from the?
It's only,
Yeah,
The distance we're interested in?
yes, from the closest resource area.
23 feet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the coastal bank is the closest. It's not very notable, but it meets the 10% slope. And then something else to add on to that. So this location is also at the highest elevation. The site is in the flood zone. So this option, most of the system is outside of the flood zone. A little bit is. The other option that I presented would have been completely in the flood zone. It would have required building up the grades to get the separation to groundwater. So it will be placing fill in the flood zone,
Which you
or
can't.
placing retaining walls, which
And that's another reg that you can't place fill in the flood zone. You can't fill, you have to leave the existing elevations
so
in the flood zone.
that's the balance. And so we received the feedback from the agents, and this is the option that we presented for this project.
Which is option 1, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. That seems to be the only viable option. Questions?
How did you calculate the buoyancy upward force?
So we did test bits on the site. We know groundwater. So we adjusted the groundwater based on the Cape Cod Commission calculations, and based on that adjusted groundwater, we compare the buoyancy force, upward force, with the weight of the structure plus the weight of the overburden on the structure.
How did you calculate the buoyancy upward force?
So it's the volume of the structure that is in the adjusted high groundwater level. That volume times 62.4, which is the weight of water. That force is coming up. And the counter force will be the weight of the structures and the weight of the overburden.
So it's essentially the dimension of the structure.
The weight of the structure.
Yeah, it is based on the dimensions of the structures that are in the ground.
It said that the volume of water that's displaced by Archimedes' principle.
Yes, that would be a very technical way of putting it. Yes.
Well, Archimedes. Smart guy.
I think that what's the elevation difference? Well, we're not considering option 2. That's just a non.
We can't really.
I mean, the only one that is approvable is option 1.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to go with option 2.
No.
Right, and I just, distributed this because I believe it's gonna be part of the comments from the neighbors. But the application is for the option that we provided in the application. We're not asking to consider the other option. I just wanted to mention it.
You just did this to be transparent.
Right.
Yeah. Did we want to take a butters comments now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Zoom now, so.
Oh, back 120.
I think Diane Phillips forwarded this to you, but this is the original with our signatures. We own 7 Spence Way. We are the one abutter that was mentioned in the variance to the health department for our well, which is within the 100 feet, our drinking well for our property. Our neighbors at 10 Spence Way were identified on the plan incorrectly. Their well is not the same as our well, and their well is across Spence Way, also believed to be within that 100 feet. And they were also at the health department meeting and opposed this proposal. So I will just say off the top, we're very happy that this is being taken care of as we thought it was being taken care of at the time the property was purchased 2.5 years ago in February of 2023 upon the sale of the property. But we are very concerned about the fact that our drinking well, our only water, is within 100 feet. And we were somewhat dismissed at the health department meeting when we requested that a hydrology report be done so that we can understand, because they were like, oh, well, the flow, whatever. We asked if there was a hydrology report, if there was any of that done. That was not done. And we were also concerned with the fact that our neighbor's well, as they are also opposed, was not included. So I don't think all the information was there when the health department made their approved the variances. And while I understand that Plan B is not, I don't know what other options there might be other than, granting this project over the, that would impact at least 2 abutters' wells. Our neighbor also own 2 cottages on the property that they rent out, and that would impact them as well, if anything were to happen to the well.
I'm completely, sympathetic to what you're saying, but it's a Board of Health issue. I think.
Yeah, we have no jurisdiction over
Yeah,
personal law.
our request is that you look at all alternatives that might have less impact on 2 drinking wells for private
I
property.
can't see any other option.
And
They're already
we don't
sending-
protect drinking water, that's the Board of Health, so.
No, I understand that.
I just wanna
I
be
understand that,
clear.
but they told us you approved the plan, so that's why I'm here.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but we don't protect, that's not part of, that's the Board of Health. And this does meet the regulations, the Wetlands Protection Act and the local environmental bylaw. This meets those regulations, so they're not even asking for variances here. They just, still have to come to get a permit through us based on the Wetlands Protection Act.
Some variances on the health department,
But
yes.
there's no
Yep.
variances being
Yep.
requested for us.
Yep.
We understand your concern, but this does meet our regs.
And so our appeal then is to the
Right.
health department and that process.
Right.
Yeah,
And just why they're giving those variances, because when you have an advanced system like this, the water is much, much cleaner. So they're feeling more confident about allowing things within 100, because you're getting a much better system here than probably what you have now from the cesspools.
Yeah,
and
the
everything
cesspools
else.
are-
Well, yeah, and the cesspools are on the other side of the property.
Yeah, but they're feeding.
But I get it.
but they're closer to the groundwater. That's
No, I
another
get
thing
it.
to consider
No,
too. Is that
I'm not opposed to
This is-
figuring it out, but there's 100-foot rule. And my well is within that 100 feet.
Yeah, and
that's all I have.
and that is the health department.
Right.
So this meets
Yep.
all of the regs that we're responsible
So if
for.
we approve this tonight, and then it turns out that your appeal to the health department comes up with another solution, they'll have to come back.
I would just like all the information. I feel like, there are
Here.
things that are missing and that doesn't give me confidence. And that it has been allowed to continue for 2.5 years since the time that the property was transferred when it was supposed to happen at time of transfer.
Yeah, all Board of Health issues.
Yep.
Have you requested water quality data from the town health department for wells in your neighborhood, just to see what the background is now?
We've put in an information request.
Did you
To
bring
them.
water to test your well now?
Yeah, it's in the process right now.
Okay, because you might find some interesting things now.
Oh, yeah, no, and we've always had salt. I mean, that's been a running issue because of the area, and there's a lot, there's a lot of septic systems in the area that are raised in that Indian Neck area.
Well, with cesspools, you run the risk of bacteria.
Yes, no, I'm
So-
aware of that, yep. I'm
That's a
aware of
lot
that.
more important.
Yep.
For a little bit of nitrogen.
Yep. Yeah, we've not had any issues with nitrates, E. coli.
I wouldn't expect this. I mean, right now, is this, on this map, is this the other one up there? Because the 100-foot, your 100-foot line,
We can't even talk about.
yeah, we
the law.
can't. Okay.
Yeah,
It's not
It's
within our
fine.
jurisdiction to do.
From our standpoint, it meets our regulation. And it's been approved by the current plan has been approved by the health department. So that's our methods right now, or that's our key pivot from this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We always appreciate public comment.
I have a message to the homeowner for students here. There's a lot of debris in the wetland area that could technically be removed. And cinder blocks and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, TVs,
Yeah,
propane tanks,
so,
it was all there when I got there.
Well, I would hope that those will be removed at
Yeah.
some point because
I already have been picking things out, you know, as I go, but I have not pulled out everything quite yet.
When I think we should suggest, especially because you're gonna be down there to clean out the cesspool, kind of down on the plan where it says scattered flagstone. There's kind of like a fire pit down there with some debris and cinder blocks. I would like to see that removed as soon as possible, or while you are doing the work with the cesspool.
Fire pit.
Yeah.
With the cinder blocks.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of other things down there, but in general, when you have property like that, so close to the resource area and in the floodplain, we get pretty strict about having debris there because it can be potential marine debris when a flood comes. So I think we should maybe work together outside of this to get your property into compliance. But I think if we at least want to put that as a condition on this permit, I think it's a good starting point.
I think it makes sense. I mean, this cesspools have to be abandoned. And the way of abandoning it, we're not gonna dig them out. Those who went to the site, and one of the cesspools is underneath a 30-inch size tree. The tree was not there when the cesspool was built, but it is feeding this tree. So this is gonna be abandoned by filling them with sand. There's gonna be plenty of sand from this excavation. So this is gonna be wheelbarrows and filling in. So a condition such that says something to the likes of the area near the cesspools when they get abandoned, any debris within the area, any refuse material, clippings or what have you, to be removed and properly disposed. That will be an acceptable condition for this project.
Would that be, we'll add that condition?
Yep.
Are you good with that, Barbara?
Yes.
And then if you, do we have?
Clear to move the cinder blocks is the condition?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, do I have a good contact for you on this application? Is there an email for the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, and then if I don't have it, I'll email you, Rob.
Yeah.
And that way we can be in contact about getting your property into compliance in general with the debris around there.
For a motion?
I'm waiting for a motion. I will entertain a motion.
I will. I would move to approve the notice of intent for 5 Indian Neck Road, map 28, parcel 270.
As presented. No?
Right.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All right. Don,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
yes.
and yes. I think overall the environmental protection and food that is.
Thank you.
Negative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I wish we had a visualization. The fresh water, where is it in these places? It make it so much easier to evaluate. But that's not really our issue right now.
20 Kendrick is your work rule, so if we want to go back to that.
Yeah,
one.
sure.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna circle back around to. What was her name again? Catherine Jackman, 120 Kendrick Avenue, map 20. A request for determination of applicability to replace an existing covered porch in kind on an existing footprint. This was continued from August 6th, 2025. And are you online now?
He's combobulating.
Pardon?
So this is combobulating.
Lovely.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Are we ready for Lucas? Yes.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Right, did you read it already? Yeah, you did.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You're good to go, Lucas.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Hi, thank you. We have, I believe you have the site plan highlighted where the
Mhm.
existing porch is. It's a wraparound porch. We were proposing to remove and replace like for like, just with modern construction level plumb and true and all like that. It's unclear what the current porch sits on. It's so low to the ground without getting into the demolition process. We're unable to see what it sits on. I would imagine it's on cinder block or solid core block or something like that. But we're coming in front of you. I would imagine you're most interested in how we would propose to dig and pour the new concrete pilings shown in the drawings, which there are 10 of.
Yes, you could talk about not using the 8-foot, but rather using diamond piers.
Yeah, so we could use diamond piers. I'm fine with that. That doesn't really disturb any ground at all, except a couple shovels full per pier. And then we wouldn't have to remove any dirt or sand. It could all stay on site pretty much as is. When the structure comes down, we'll rake up and dispose of properly all of the debris that we create and clean the sand or whatever is under the three sides of that porch existing. I'm sure there's debris from over the years and who knows what. But yeah, it'll be a clean slate down to the sand. We're not bringing in any fill. I personally, I know the diamond piers meet code. I'm fine with using them. I've used them before. I'm comfortable with using them. I still lean towards poured concrete that would go down 4 feet, just because it seems like it's more substantial to bear a load on, even though the piers have been approved and are commonly used. So I'd look to you for whatever recommendations you may have.
I think that we would prefer diamond piers.
Okay.
Generally.
Well, and you know, in all honesty, that cuts down on some of the workload as well. So, you know, like I said, that's fine with me.
The other issue that we noticed was that the roof runoffs aren't going into dry wells. That needs to be taken care of as part of this work.
So the addition of gutters, downspouts, and dry wells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that'll be outlined in an order of conditions, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the permit, this is an RDA, so it'll be a condition on your RDA to add all roof shall go into, yeah. Mhm. And on the footings, I know that, you know, there can sometimes be a load issue with those diamond piers. If you do find that you need to put a couple of concrete pillars in a certain locations, once you're in there, you know, email me and we can adjust it if needed, but diamond piers are always preferred.
Okay, understood. I agree. They don't disturb anything around them. And they, for me as a builder, they're definitely easy to install and lay out. If we go back through the projected load and find that there is an advantage structurally for using poured concrete. I'm fine with hand digging. It's not, we wouldn't excavate with a machine and dig a big trench and lay them all at once. I can dig the holes one by one and backfill them and clean up. But again, that's only if we need to come circle back with you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns from the committee? From the commission? Okay,
So I move that we identify Jackman 120 Fifth Avenue RDA as a -3.
Second,
all right,
Yes.
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 and yes. Okay, Lucas, you're good to go with those two conditions that we just talked about.
Okay,
So you got a green light.
great. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, the last one for tonight is Tamara Dickinson Colvin, 200 Guthrie Lane, map 16, parcel 627, SE 077-37, a request for a CS certificate of compliance for work previously permitted. And this goes back, this is way back to 1978. So it's almost half a century old.
Yeah,
So whatever they did,
we don't even know what this was for. We have no record of it. Who knows what it was for? But upon site inspection, I did notice an unpermitted dock in the pond and something else odd in the water. I have been in touch with the property owner, and to figure out how to get all that properly permitted. I don't know if you looked at the photos, but that.
What was that? It looked like they would cut a channel.
I have no idea what it was, but they said, we'll just remove it. They didn't tell me what it was, who knows? There's like bricks with a bag in it.
Bizarre. So,
Yeah, what is that?
it's a new invention.
It's not a dead body.
let's hope not,
So that's gonna get removed,
but that'll be a separate issue, right?
totally separate. We're not holding this up for that.
Can I talk about it?
Yeah,
Well, it's just that someone's clearly removed the vegetation. Looks like it was some kind of sedge, I guess.
yes, that's what I told them.
There or something.
Yeah, so it's bad that they removed the vegetation.
That's what I said. Yeah, can't be removing any vegetation.
Yeah. And see a lot of, I mean, to be honest, you see a lot of this around the ponds where people create access to the water.
Yeah.
Clearing away the vegetation, but that vegetation is performing important service in terms of maintaining the water quality, it's capturing phosphorus.
So we are in contact with the property owner to bring them into compliance, but we can't really hold up this COC, but yeah,
I don't even know what this is for.
we don't even know what this is for.
Well, now that it's on the books and it's being carried forward, we should feel comfortable with. That's
Yeah.
a separate deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But
for a half a
ju-
century old.
I move that we approve the certificate of compliance for a 200 by tree width.
Second, Michael.
All right.
Yes.
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 And yes. All right,
So there's two things to sign.
Did we get the RDA?
It went around.
Did it?
I sent it to you. What happened next day?
There we go. There it is, right there.
Was it you?
It wasn't me this time. I've got a bad rep.
I will never do that again.
Yeah, that's what we all say.
John Portnoy just-
Until it happens next time.
I always say that, I'll never do that.
Okay, I move that we adjourn the public hearings.
Second, Michael.
Yes.
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 And yes, okay, we'll now open the business meeting. In attendance, we have Michael Fisher, John Portnoy, Barbara Brennisell, Bob Stewart, and Leon Street, so we have a forum. We have a JO, or just a jurisdictional opinion to discuss.
One JO for
80 State
80
Highway.
State Highway, that's Maurice's campground. They removed 3 to 4 hazardous trees around the house, kind of behind the yellow cottages when you first drive in on the left. They, for insurance made them remove them.
What's the wetland resource there?
Riverfront
Oh.
and a river, yeah, there's riverfront.
Oh, okay.
They are within 100 feet of the river, but
It's like Silver Spring Brook.
yeah, so
So who approved the, did you approve this? Or did it get?
I administratively approved it,
Okay.
and then now you guys have to formally approve it.
Okay. So. And these were because they were a danger? Is that
Yeah,
right?
hazardous to the dwellings.
Okay, I move that we approve this jurisdictional opinion for 80 State Highway Town Wellfleet.
Second, Michael? Yes.
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 Yes. And yes. Okay. So, is that the only jurisdictional opinion we have?
That is the only one.
Great.
I don't know if that's great. Probably means worse, you know how to find it.
That's the only one that we know of. Is there any other mail or discussion that we need to entertain? Then there's the approval of amendments that were.
Well, 6 minutes.
Yeah, the 6 minutes, which have an addition to it since the packets were produced. Does everybody get a chance to see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any corrections or?
I have one tiny typo on page 3 that I can just give to Janet.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
this is
you.
this one?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you have any more, John? Yeah. Good.
Well, okay, some of the, at the bottom of the first page, where commissioners discuss mitigation planting, Ellis explained all vegetation that will be removed from the project is ornamental. I think he might have said ornamental, but he also, I think, said non-native. The problem is that if he just said, if we just document that he said ornamental, that doesn't really tell you much. I mean, a lot of things can be ornamental. I could plant a beach plum and it might be ornamental, but I think his intention was not a native. Now, I know we can't record his intentions, right? But I'm just suggesting that I think he also said, I mean.
I'll look back.
Okay.
I did watch it again and I believe it was just ornamental, but I will check it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have to faithfully record what he said. On the page 4, under the culvert replacement for the drop birds. Fourth line down starts with this, which will drain the artificial on upstream. There's a syntax problem there. See what I mean? I'm gonna give you this, but.
Okay.
And then, few lines below that, it is expected that after this year is removed, the less restricted passage of water will also reduce the temperature of the upstream water and recolonization of the habitat by, I think we should insert trout and other fish. Because the targeted species is trout and cold water species.
You capitalize brook trout?
That's the complete common name, accepted common name, I would capitalize it. The whole thing is with common names is the bird people always capitalize them like they're special.
Or special.
If you capitalize a common bird names, why wouldn't you capitalize all accepted common names? Because they're not, they're actually proper nouns, right? And you capitalize proper nouns. So if it's, I don't know if the complete name is brook trout, is it brook trout? Or is it Atlantic? I don't know.
I don't know.
I would capitalize it to answer your question.
Capitalized Diamondback terrapin.
Well, you should start. The ornithologists do it, so can you.
It's a proper noun, right? It's not like, you know, like if you wrote like black duck and it was small b, small d, then that would just mean, oh, like a black duck. Right, but it's not, it means a specific species, it's a proper noun.
Yeah.
Okay.
but, you know,
Anyway, it's not wrong to capitalize Brook Trout.
I don't think so.
Should I capitalize eels also?
It'd be American eel.
If it was American eel,
Okay, I gotcha.
Right.
All right. I didn't for an American eel.
Well, I don't know. I'm sort of giving up on it myself, but I mean, that's the rationale.
You're right. I think that for brook trout, that is the common usage name,
Yeah,
right? So I mean, it's not like it's speckled brook trout or.
it's not just a trout that you find in a brook, it's a
Right.
specific animal.
yeah, it is brook
Okay, I did capitalize it.
Yeah.
It's a fact, it's a fact.
Michael's just happy to do the conversation.
Okay, I think we've,
Well,
Were there any other?
you know, there's.
Wait,
No?
no,
Oh,
I had another one, but I crossed it all out, so you go.
Wow. Well, thank you both.
I take it that none of those were significant enough to see the reprint of them.
No.
no.
I move that we approve the, what was it, August 7th,
Six.
6th, sorry.
As amended.
All right,
As amended,
as amended.
Michael, yes.
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 I have to abstain.
Oh, you weren't there, yes, and yes. Okay,
Okay,
so it's approved.
so we're caught up on the minutes.
Wow, that hasn't happened for
Oh,
a
one
while.
quick announcement that I'm very excited about. We are getting an AmeriCorps member next year.
Yay.
We'll
Good.
have them for a 1 day, so they'll be doing a couple of
1 day.
1 day week.
Okay.
It'll be I really want to start getting some educational walks going, especially in the winter. I think they're important to get the community engaged, so they'll be doing some educational walks, helping with a pollinator garden, and helping us get our coastal engineered structures in order and start tracking beach nourishment management.
That's important. The Shellfish Advisory Board has been talking a lot about beach renourishment.
Yeah, and I had a long conversation with John Wolf actually about it too. And you know, I told you we need to study it, and we did get, you know, a CCS to try to get us a preliminary study of maybe trying to centralize beach nourishment, which was $250,000 to do the study. And I've applied to 4 grants. 2 of them wasn't expecting to get, but we threw our name in the hat. And the other one, I was disappointed I didn't get, but the one federal grant of 4,000 applicants, there was 2 grants going out. We got it, but the funding is temporarily gone. That probably won't come back. So we'll have to keep looking next year. Next grant cycle.
Well, that's some good news.
So
But I'm trying.
move to close the public hearing?
I second that.
Yes.
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 And yes.